I'm Kim.
I'm Simon.
And we are with Eden Hope Academy, and we are on week
12.
12. So Simon is with our Hamilton campus, and he's going to be helping us out today. So let's start with our Bible verse. Get your books out, give them a wiggle, and let's go with our Bible verse. Simon, can you throw this up? A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Now, why do you think that the Bible says that? A good name is more desirable than riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold.
If you're really kind to everyone, it's better for everyone to know your name and exactly know who you are than being rich.
That's good. That's really good. It is. We're going to go through this week, and as we do that, I want you to be thinking about the verse. And here I want you to, goodness gracious, did we get this one wrong? It says preserving your name means that you do not even give the appearance of doing something against God's plan. Draw a picture of you standing firm despite being tempted. Well, I can see where this would maybe be a mistake or maybe be the right thing. So I want you to draw a picture of you doing, like Simon said, doing sweet and kind things, and being esteemed, having people know that you're a person who does good things, sweet and nice things, right there. So pause it. Can you give us a pause sound? All right. Are you back? Welcome back. Okay.
Hi.
All right. So Simon, could you throw up our history, please? Civil rights heroes in 1955 fighting for the rights of every African American alive. Martin Luther King Jr., alongside Medgar Evers, worked to make their race equal sooner, through their peaceful protest endeavors. Black people faced a very dark time. While sitting in the front of the bus was called a crime. Rosa Parks led the boycott in Montgomery. She would not give up her seat. That's just a summary. Okay, so let's go back in time. Way back in time. And before our country was even founded, white people came to the country that we now call the United States, which were the English colonies, and they wanted to farm. And so some of them had people go to Africa and bring back people who were then enslaved. They had no choices whatsoever. All right, so they had absolutely no choices, and many times they were treated horribly. And so our founding fathers came along after the American Revolutionary War in 1780s or so, and they wrote our Constitution, and they did not free the black people. And one of the reasons that they didn't do it was because they really felt like slavery was on the decline. It wasn't going to last that much longer because people weren't using enslaved people as much, and they thought, well, it's just going to go downhill and it's not going to be that big of a deal. So was it the right thing to do? No, not at all. They did not stand up for what was right from the beginning. And so then Eli Whitney comes along, and Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin. The cotton gin took what would take a day to do, which was pick the little bitty seeds out of the cotton bolls. And it took a day for an African American person to do this, and it turned it into just a few minutes. And so all of a sudden, the people in the South could plant so many more crops. And all of a sudden, they needed so many more people to work their land. And so instead of slavery dwindling down, it actually, after the cotton gin, it went up enormously. And so then we had the Civil War. Before the Civil War were all these appeasements, compromises, things like that, but they never got rid of the problem. And so finally, after the Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation finally freed the people who had been enslaved. So does that mean they got freed and everything was great? It was hunky-dory? No. Let's go. No. Can you say no?
No.
No, not at all. Okay, so the African American people who were freed, they didn't have anything. They didn't have an education. They didn't have any land, they didn't have any property, they didn't have any money. They really had very little way to support themselves. And there were some programs that allotted some of them land. And so there were a few programs out there, but not very many and very few opportunities. But beyond that, the people of the United States, the white people in general of the United States, were extremely racist. It absolutely extremely racist. It was okay in society, it was accepted in society for them to be extremely racist against African American people. And so this continued. So the Civil War ended in 1864, and now we're up to 1955. We're almost 100 years later, and African American people are still being treated extremely poorly. Extremely poorly. And so Martin Luther King Jr. learned from Gandhi about peaceful protest. And so, oh, that's a link. Can you link me? It's a link! Gandhi and Martin Luther King. So Martin Luther King Jr. learned from Gandhi, link, and he started peaceful protesting, and Medgar Evers and so many other African American people joined in and started to try to get the conversation to change so that people would realize that this was completely not justifiable and not okay, the way they were treating African American people. And so this was called the Civil Rights Movement. And it changed the discourse, it changed the vocabulary, it changed the talking between people, and started to make it a little bit more fair for African American people. Now, is it fair now? Is it perfectly fair now? Are we perfectly, everything is okay now? No. Let's say, no, it is not perfectly fair now. And it's something that all of us need to continue to work on. But these people were the beginnings of it, and they were really brave, and they stood firm, and they stood trying to do the right thing. Okay, so now we're going to go to Hero Highlight. So let's pause for a second, give it as a break. Oh, and in your box, before you pause, don't pause. All right. So in your box, I want you to draw a picture of Rosa Parks. Now, Rosa Parks was a woman who was tired. She was tired. She was riding in Montgomery, Alabama on a bus, and they said that black people could only sit in the back of the bus. They couldn't sit in the front of the bus because there was so much discrimination. They were called Jim Crow laws. And these laws said that black people could have water fountains, but they couldn't drink out of white people water fountains because, you wouldn't want to, I don't know. So,
spread the germs.
Yeah, I guess because white people have a lot of germs or something like that. So they would have different water fountains. They would have different sections of the movie theater. Black people would go into one part of a church, and white people would go into another part of the church. But it always happened that the white people's part was a lot better than the black people's part. So it was very discriminatory. So Rosa Parks did not want to stand in the bus, and she did not have any seats in the back of the bus, so she went and she sat in the front of the bus with the white people because she had paid for a full price seat on the bus. And all right. So Rosa Parks had paid the same amount of money for the seat on the bus, and she wanted to sit down on the bus. She was tired, so she sat down. So what would have happened if a person came and sat down on a bus now?
They would just sit down.
They would sit down on a bus, right? Well, oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe the hullabaloo. So let's have some hullabaloo, like, ah! People freaked out. They freaked out that this one woman sat in the front of the bus. They even called the police. Can you imagine calling the police? Hello, 911, yes, there's a woman sitting on the bus. And then what would the police go? Ah! Oh my goodness, we've got to run over. So let's do some sirens. Woo, 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 woo. And they went and they got all upset with poor Rosa Parks for sitting on a bus that she had paid the full amount to sit on the bus. So I want you to draw a picture of Rosa Parks sitting on the bus. And as you draw that picture, I want you to realize the absolute lunacy, the stupidity of racism. That God made us all like flowers. We're all different skin tones. We're all different. We look all different. None of us look the same unless you're identical twin. But we look different. We talk differently. And God made us this way because He loves us different. He wouldn't want us all the same. So when you draw the picture of Rosa Parks, just remember that she was really brave for what she did, and it was probably very scary. But by doing that, by standing up for herself, it opened so many doors for millions of other people. So pause and draw the picture. All right, and we're going to go to hero highlight David Wilkerson. And David Wilkerson was a youth minister, and he went to New York City because he heard about these people in New York City who really were so poor, and they were doing some things they weren't supposed to be doing. They were getting into some things that they weren't supposed to be getting into, and so he wanted to help them. And so he went down to New York City, and he was wearing red socks. Now, why does it matter that he was wearing red socks? Does it matter? A little bit, just a little bit.